They always said I'm wrong, but what they doing today? I think they want me gone, but I ain't going away. They told me I was wrong, but look at my ass today. Da 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 da.
Yo guys, what's going on? I'm Tim for TheRealSportsTalk.com along with Richard Janvert, Senior MLB Analyst at TheRealSportsTalk.com. And Richard, what's going on?
Nothing too much, man. It's been pretty interesting the last couple of days here in baseball.
It's been interesting the last few weeks. I mean, these pennant races are shaping up to be really nice. Tomorrow night, 11 p.m., Blitz Hardcore Podcast. We're going to be talking about it all. That's Friday at 11 Eastern. In the evening, we're going to be talking about everything in baseball, but something big that I'm sure we will address more on the podcast tomorrow, but that I could not wait to make a video about. Skip Bayless yesterday after the Melky Cabrera incident, Ryan Braun, Freddie Galvis, Guillermo Mota, all the guys over the last season and a half that have gotten caught, well, really with Guillermo Mota the last 5 years, but for the other guys last year, year, that have gotten caught using drugs. Skip Bayless decides to go after Derek Jeter and say that, well, Derek Jeter's having a good year this year, so maybe Derek Jeter's using something. And it's not that it's impossible, but it's just like with Skip Bayless, you can tell that it's not like Skip Bayless is actually thinking this. He's just doing it because right now he can't really hate on LeBron James. Tim Tebow, we can only talk about so many topics of his show. So, unfortunately, he's going to have to start going after someone in baseball, and that's the only way I guess ESPN's going to talk about baseball. And Skip Bayless stirred things up yesterday when he made the statement that, and I'm reading this off ESPN.com, he says, I am shocked by what I'm seeing. I can't do Skip Bayless' voice, I'm sorry. I'm shocked by what I'm seeing from Derek Jeter right now. They all said he was washed up. All of a sudden, this man has turned 38 years of age in June and already has more hits than he had last year, which is true. I'm seeing a whole new guy this year from last year. Are you kidding me? You would have to have your head in the sand or somewhere else not to at least wonder, how is he doing this? And then Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith go back and forth a little bit, and it ends with pretty much Skip Bayless hinting at maybe he's using performance-enhancing drugs. Richard J., what do you think about this?
I don't by any means think he's stupid. I think he's actually a pretty intelligent guy. I think that's his job, just to play devil's advocate. And what I think he's trying to hint at is, like, if you look at some of these guys who we thought were done, Bartolo Colon, I mean, come on. This guy looked like he probably couldn't even get a contract in the Independent League. And then all of a sudden he comes back with the Yankees and just completely lights it up. And then we come to find out it's because of PEDs. We look at Melky Cabrera, who was decent with the Yankees, was awful with the Braves, and then just lights it up for the Royals and the Giants because of PEDs. And I mean, Derek Jeter is just, a model professional. He just seems to do everything the right way. Very classy guy. And I think he was just trying to say, like, oh, well, maybe Jeter's using them too, because his slugging percentage is like close to 500. The dude's 38. Like you said, he has more hits right now than he had all of last year. So I don't think Skip actually thinks he's on PEDs, but I mean, I don't really know why you'd even try to cross that line there, but trying to even insinuate that Jeter is using anything.
Yeah, and I don't really either, because it's not like LeBron James where there's people that dislike LeBron James and you can get a huge following, or Tim Tebow was a complete lightning rod, even though technically Tim Tebow never did anything to really be that. And I'm not saying by his play, but just that it's not really Tim Tebow's fault that the media acts like this, but unfortunately he gets the rap for it. Derek Jeter, 95% of people like Derek Jeter. Even people that dislike the Yankees like Derek Jeter. He's a Hall of Famer. I mean, there certainly are people that overrate what he's done in his career, but there certainly are other people who don't give Derek Jeter enough credit. I don't know. I think with Skip Bayless, it's gotten to the point where if somebody else said this, I think that it would be. I'd still probably have a similar reaction, but I wouldn't completely dismiss it. With Skip Bayless, I have a tough time not completely dismissing what he's saying, because it really there's no credibility to this. So to throw it out there to me just does not make a ton of sense. Bartolo Colon, you mentioned him. Melky Cabrera, you mentioned him. I think the difference though is that Bartolo Colon, obviously before, when he was with the Angels, the Indians, the Expos, teams earlier in his career, in the early and mid 2000s, he was a really good pitcher, Cy Young material. Even through the mid 2000s, he was that. But then he was done. Like you mentioned, he came back with the Yankees last year, and the steroids pretty much showed. Melky Cabrera was a chubby fourth outfielder, and I'm not saying that to be nasty, but that's really what Melky Cabrera was in New York. He went to Atlanta and was absolutely atrocious there, and then he's with the Royals. The question that I really have is, if these guys have been doing it for more than 1 year, and the MLB has a strict testing policy, why are we just finding out now?
Yeah, I'm not sure why. I just think that baseball should just have a blood test. This is getting ridiculous, and I mean, I'm not by any means racist here or anything, but since 2005, 62% of the guys that have tested positive for steroids have been Latin American. There's been 37 since 2005 total, 23 of which are Latin American. And it's just, enough's enough with this. They need to.
Well, I think the reason with the Latin American players is it's a lot easier to get the drugs over there, and also because they feel like coming to America they have a better opportunity. Again, neither of us are trying to be racist. Richard's just throwing out a stat there. But yeah, I mean, that is kind of something that I've noticed as well, is that it is tending to be a lot more with the Latin players than with African American or white players. I don't know. I don't think that casts a black cloud over the Latin community or anything like that. But it is just kind of a stat worth throwing out there. Do you think that these suspensions at this point are just not enough?
No, I don't think they're enough, because, I mean, if you look at it, players that come from these other countries, they were most likely some sort of poverty line there, and they're probably thinking to themselves, you know, what do I have to lose, you know? If I get paid, you know, a couple $1 million, that's a lot more than what I have now, and if I get suspended, so be it, I still made the money. I mean, they can't void the contracts or anything like that. That'd be like illegal, and I don't think the players' union would allow that. But I think that there should be only 2 strikes. I know there's 3 strikes in baseball, but for this, there should be 2 strikes. 1, if you get caught, 100 games. 2, banned. I don't care, the 50, 100, it's stupid.
I think they'd even be better off just the first time you're out for the whole season, 162 games. That would mean you're out for the playoffs because you wouldn't even be on the roster in time to be on the playoff roster. So I think that even sends a bit more of a message that not only are we going to take away 100 games, no, we're going to take away an entire season from you. And then after that, you're done. Because, okay, the first time, things can get screwed up. There's been cases where there's been miscommunication between doctors and players and FedEx men and the players' union. Things can happen, I guess, once that makes something go wrong. Not twice. There is no line there that makes me believe that you can screw up on something like that twice. If you get caught twice, you should be done. And I don't understand why the MLB has such a big deal with this. I think Manny Ramirez should have been done. And really, I don't know. Hopefully this just goes away. But unfortunately for baseball, it really appears that, like, we had a few years here where it was all pitchers baseball, and some of these guys decided that they were going to cash in by using testosterone, and it's gotten out there now. More players are using it. The media is finding out about it, and I just wonder if baseball can ever get out of this cloud if they get themselves back into another cycle of having to try and clean up this image.
Yeah, well, the problem with the testing now, dude, is that the way that these guys are taking these drugs is that their testosterone levels, they differ at certain times of the year. So maybe when they take the test at one time, they're at that point in the cycle where it's less than less than what would make you, test positive. To be honest, I think there should be a blood test, an HGH blood test in spring training, and then 10 random ones throughout the year. That's the only way to catch these guys right away, because Bartolo Colon, there's only one test. There's only one test, and it's in spring training. And now we're just finding out about Bartolo.
Yeah, I know it. I
know it's something.
I think it's going to be difficult to try and keep these guys from using anything because medical science is always going to kind of be ahead. But the HGH thing is something that they have to do. It's something the Players Union has to get on board with, and it's not going to be easy. It was really tough to even allow them to have what they do currently is they have a test in spring training and then nothing through the season. So a player could use HGH throughout the entire season and really pretty much get away with it. So once players are tested for HGH, it's going to be... I don't know if we see what happens when players start getting tested for HGH, because it's not going to be as bad as when we found out Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa and Roger Clemens and Andy Pettitte and everyone and a long list of other names were on steroids. But it's certainly not going to be pretty, and it's certainly not just going to be obvious people. There's not just going to be power hitters. There's going to be pitchers. There's going to be contact hitters. And the thing with adding in the HGH testing, it's going to clean up the game per se, but the image of the game is going to take a big hit again, and I think that might be why baseball would be a little bit more reluctant to do that. But at the same time, they have to try and clean up the game. So baseball is in a tough predicament here right now, because I think the difference, a lot of people have asked me, well, there's people getting suspended in football and the NFL all the time for using this. The biggest names you're hearing are linemen. You don't see Tom Brady and Peyton Manning getting caught using testosterone, and Aaron Rodgers and Adrian Peterson were using HGH. You don't see the big name face of the NFL type guys using that, so it's a lot easier to get by with it. I know that certainly there probably are players in the NFL getting away with using drugs. I know players at my high school getting away with doing stuff. But no matter what, there's always going to be some people that are going to get away with it. But the MLB has to try and do something to clean this up. I don't know what it is, and we're going to have to wait and see what happens. Check out therealsportstalk.com. Hit me up on Twitter at CashKelly_TRST, KASHKelly_TRST. Hit up Richard RJanvrin3_TRST, and we'll catch you guys later.
Just a little bit around the corner from fear. Be there, next year, where I'm going.